Hey everyone, welcome to the horror show. I'm Cecil Laird.
I'm producer Dave.
Jaime En Fuego here.
Marcia Parker.
Eric Harrison from the Death Twitch Horror Review.
And we are here to do the Great Horror Debate live once again.
Yeah!
Thank you very much.
I love the energy in this room.
So we did this 2 years ago, went over pretty well, and that was just us debating ourselves last time. And today,
and we were masters of it.
we master debated ourselves, absolutely.
Yeah.
We decided to launch a inter-channel horror debate, and there are a lot of horror channels out there on YouTube, a lot that we actually regularly interact with, and one of the ones that I've been following for the longest time is the Death Twitch, which is actually being run by Mr. Eric down at the end, along with The Speed of Sound, which is a recent YouTube channel that he launched all about awesome music. So, Eric, why don't you just let everyone know a little bit about your two channels real quick before we get into the debate?
Yeah, I focus on old retro horror. I'm all about 80s on back to the beginning of cinema. I don't cover a lot of new stuff, but that's what, other people got that covered. But yeah, I'm all about the retro.
Right on. All right, so what we're going to do today, you guys, is we are going to debate ourselves, the horror show, versus the Death Twitch. So we have 5 categories. We are going to go down the line. Each of us is going to answer one of the 5 categories, and then Eric is going to answer all of his, obviously. So 2 of us are going to go twice. But basically, we're going to have 1 minute to say what our answer is, and then he will have 1 minute, and then we will have a 30-second rebuttal, and then he will have a 30-second rebuttal. So we'll do 5 rounds of that, and then once that's done, you guys are going to be the ones that determine the winners of every round via applause. So make sure you guys are paying attention, and then after we finish the inter-channel debate, we're going to go straight into the audience debate, where we're going to have 9 of you come up in groups of 3. So 3 of you will debate 1 question, and then the winner will move on. Then 3 more people, 1 question, 3 more people, 1 question, and then the winner of each of those 3 segments will go against each other in the final round to determine one audience overall winner. So, just so you guys know what the plan is. So guys, just so you know, I wanted to show you guys the audience topics first, so you guys can take a look at them and get in your mind what you might want to have an answer. We don't know which of these topics you will be going with. We wanted to get a list of a bunch that you could try and go for. Dave, you want to read them off for them, just in case the font's not great?
Best decade of horror, best slasher movie, best found footage, best vampire, werewolf, ghost, best horror melee weapon, victim death, final girl, best villain, best horror icon mashup, extreme horror movie, small horror monster, holiday horror, horror anthology, possessed character, space horror, made-for-TV horror, sharpest decline in a franchise, and silliest cursed item in horror.
So any of those could be your categories. We will determine at the beginning of each round which category it will be by a vote. But yeah, just wanted to make sure you guys knew, so you could start thinking. If you wanted to take part in this, you could start thinking of your answers for some of these. I know it's tough because there's 20 categories and you don't know which one it's going to be, but at least you have kind of an idea. So,
yeah, I mean, whichever point you could probably argue the best is what I would
go
say
with that one. Yeah. So, all right, the first category for us is Best 80s Horror Icon. And Dave, whenever you're ready to start the timer,
who's going
tell
first?
me when. I will go first on this one. I'm going to be doing the 80s Horror Icon for the horror show.
All right. 1 minute. Go.
All right, I think the number 1 80s horror icon is obviously Freddy Krueger. I don't think there's anyone that's going to outmatch him. Yes, there are other slashers. Yes, there are other murderers. Yes, there are other franchises that do interesting things, but I don't think anyone comes close to Freddy. He invades your dreams. You cannot get away from him because you have to dream. And he has one of the most iconic visages of any horror bad guy out there, with the burned face and, of course, the 4 blades. The glove is iconic alone. His movements are iconic. Everything about this character is iconic, let alone the fact that he's probably haunting a number of your nightmares throughout your lives, whether it was as a kid or as an adult. He doesn't leave me. He started out in my brain when I was a kid, and he's still there every now and again. So you can't go against such an iconic guy as Freddy. I mean, he's got...
Time.
Okay. And that's the thing. We have to stop right when it's time.
Yeah,
There
no
is
extra time.
no extra time.
You even like the
All right,
remake.
so
Minute and a half. I
Eric
think.
will go next. He will do a 1 minute, and then I will do a 30-second rebuttal, and he will do a 30-second rebuttal.
all right, do you want him? Okay.
Yep, so we'll do his 1 minute first.
You ready, Eric?
Sure thing.
And go.
Yeah, my 80s horror icon is Ash Williams from The Evil Dead, All Evil Dead, 1, 2, Army of Darkness, Ash vs. Evil Dead, video
Rest in
games,
peace.
whatever else is still going on, and it's going to keep going on, even though the damn series was ended. But he says he wants it to keep happening in video game form. But yeah, Ash, he's just like, it's not even like a debate. He's just my hero. He's just my hero. So I got to put him up there, like on a pedestal. That guy is the best, man. Ash. Best
What makes him
character.
the best?
I don't. You know what? Ash wouldn't even need to explain that to you.
Ash is such a good answer, I don't have to back it up.
That's
Ashy,
kind of the attitude that I
slashy.
really like about him. So there you go. That's my debate, yo.
Okay.
Bruce
All right.
Campbell's
So you can
the
call it
Try
there.
not, try not to talk into his time. He's got a full. That was like 30 seconds.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Okay.
All right, now your 30-second rebuttal to Ash.
All right. Tell me when.
Go.
All right. Yes, Ash is great, but he's not okay, he's an icon in horror, but he's not a horror icon the way Freddy is. When you think of who you're scared of when it comes to horror movies, you're not going to really go right to Ash. You're going to go to Jason, the Freddy, the Michael Myers, the Chuckies, the Jawses, anything like that. You're going to go to these things. You're not going to necessarily go straight to Ash. Ash is a good horror icon, sure, but when you're thinking of 80s horror icons, is it going to be Freddy or is it going to be Ash?
And your 30-second rebuttal to his choice
Yeah,
of
man.
Freddy.
Freddy, like I can't deny Freddy is awesome, but you know what? You say Ash is not a horror icon, but if it wasn't for him, The Evil Dead usually comes because he made some kind of mistake. He's his own enemy right there. Ash is gonna always bring back The Evil Dead, and yeah, that's just the way I feel about it.
Okay.
I slept too long.
Okay.
All right.
So we had we have Team Horror Show with Freddy, and the rebuttal was that he's the real icon, and Death Twitch has chosen Ash from Ash vs. Evil Dead and Evil Dead, and he is just as much of an iconic horror. Was your rebuttal as Freddy?
Absolutely.
And he wouldn't have to respond to some of this. So we'll go with the Horror Show. Who thinks the Horror Show won that one?
By applause.
By applause. And then who thinks the Death Twitch won that one?
All right. We'll take
I
category
like your
one.
answer. You didn't have
Sweet.
to
The score
defend
is
I have a
yourself.
feeling the next category might go the other way.
3-1.
All right. Next up is...
The points are arbitrary and have no meaning.
Wow.
Best practical effects in a horror film.
So this ended up being the only category that we ended up having the same answers on. We went through a third party, so we don't know what each other's answers are, but I had Eric send his answers to Dave, and I was like, if any of them are the same, let us know so we can choose an alternate, and this was apparently the only one that we had chosen the same answer.
So Eric's going to get to go first on this one then.
Yep, we'll let Eric go first, and then Fuego's going to tackle it for us.
All right.
All right,
Wow.
Eric, what
See
is
that
the
look?
best practical effects in a horror film?
I mean, I didn't want to go with the most obvious answer. I really didn't. There's so many great effects in the 80s. I mean, that was what the 80s was all about. It was a height of special and makeup effects. You guys already know the answer to this. It's going to be The Thing. It just has to be The Thing.
And why?
Oh, I have to give a reason why.
Yeah, you have to give a reason. You got to
You
convince
saw the
them.
movie, right?
Plead your case.
We saw the movie. You saw the movie, right? Movie speaks for itself, motherfucker.
I guess my whole thing is like, I don't need to answer your questions.
I like your debating stuff. Like,
Great debate partner. I don't need to
Drop
answer
the
this
mic right
shit.
Can we drop that shit?
That's the answer.
Yeah. You know what we were saying earlier in the earlier panel? Craft. A lot of craft put into that.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Fair enough. Yeah. The Thing. No need to say anything else.
All right. Now, for the horror show, who is answering this one?
Fueguísimo.
Fuego.
Seaway.
And what is the best practical effects in a horror film? Ready? Go.
Yeah, so this is tough. I mentioned the Holy Trinity of the 80s remakes earlier, which is The Blob, The Fly, and The Thing. And I'm going to go with The Fly, honestly, for the sheer fact that Cronenberg just reimagined the nastiness of that transformation with his production and effects team in such a gruesome manner because, I mean, more so than anything else, the loss of humanity that Goldblum's character goes through over the course of that transformation. It's so gross, it is so slimy, and then by the end of it, I mean, you feel so much more sympathy, I think, for the character, which makes the effects and the transformation and all its disgustingness hit so much harder compared to The Thing. As much as I love The Thing, and maybe there's a few shots that are a little more imaginative or whatever, but I feel like there's much more of a personal connection to just the grotesqueness because you identify so much and sympathize so much with Goldblum's character. So that's what I got to say.
Okay.
30-second rebuttal from Eric.
Yeah, I think The Fly is great, but The Thing is nightmare fuel because you could literally watch a guy's face just open up and become a mouth and then eat another guy. That's insane. Insane. It's like that's just crazy right there.
I actually agree with Eric.
It's a very good rebuttal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like, how do you compete with that?
It's a
Fuego. What's wrong with The Thing?
there's nothing wrong with that movie. Trust me. Obviously, there's everything wrong with that shitty prequel. But you know, I still am going to drive my point home once more so about the fact that I mean, even Gina Davis's character and just the loss of her lover and everything, and just there's so much more of a human aspect to the nastiness, and you can almost put yourself in the position so much more so. And I think it's much more frightening to think about going through a transformation yourself in comparison with the paranoia and all that stuff that you see in The Thing. So I don't know.
I already vote for you, man.
We can't vote for each other, guys. We're debating each other.
All right, so Eric went with The Thing, which is a fantastic John Carpenter movie. He went with it because he said so, and because of Nightmare Fuel.
We say
And
so.
Fuego has chosen The Fly, which is a slimy, gross Goldblum and human nastiness. So who do you guys think won? Eric of the Death Twitch? Or Jaime En Fuego with the horror show?
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks, that one went to the Death
Applause,
Twitch.
guys, yeah.
All right, tied up at 3-3.
I still think it might be the Blob, honestly.
I told you the points are arbitrary and they mean nothing.
Granted, he had the better argument.
All right.
For sure.
Yeah,
Not sure we agreed to this going into it, but all right.
I still think it might be the Blob, dude, but we
Blob is
didn't go with
great.
that.
Yeah, nope, we vetoed you.
Yeah, I tried.
Who here thinks the Blob would have won out of those two?
No.
Oh, shut down. All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Ends
Thank
that
you.
argument. It's
Thank you.
good, but
Football
it's
player
good.
getting melted at the beginning. I mean,
No.
they kill kids. It's,
it's just not as much as the rest
love
of
that
it.
movie, man.
Get in them now.
Third category.
Third category is the best retro horror movie for a drinking game.
Now,
This is
just
a
so you
pretty
guys know,
broad topic.
broad topic, but the way we defined retro was 20 years or more.
So pre-2000.
Pre-2000, 20 years or more.
God, who feels old? Jesus.
Yeah. This was not a fun
Speaking
category to
of
come up
old.
with.
All right. So we have Marcia's going to answer for Team
Ladies
Horror
first.
Show, and Eric of the Death Twitch will do his. Go ahead,
Marcia.
All right, so I'm happy to say this would be an awesome drinking game movie. I am sad to say that it is now considered retro. I'm going with Scream, everybody. Come on, guys.
God, we're
There's
getting so
tons of
old.
stuff you can do with a drinking game. Number one, Randy rants. There's so many Randy rants, and who doesn't want to do a shot every time Randy gets a going? So he let Randy get you going, and you start that shot process with him. Now, phone rings. How many times does the phone ring during that movie? You are going to get messed up in this movie.
Well, you finished the movie.
Yeah, you're just not even 10 minutes in the movie, you've already had 5 shots. Then Killer Follies. Oh my God, those two. Well, sorry, spoiler alert. 2 killers
Spoiler.
that
No spoilers, no
tend to folly a lot, slipping on each other, not on each other, but
Whoa, that's a
slipping
gross
on the
movie.
I didn't see
bed,
the
you messing
porn.
up, falling up the stairs. There's tons of follies going on. Okay,
Falling upstairs?
I'm moving fast. Yeah, they do.
And
Trying to
time.
get, double tap.
Time.
Double tap, double shot.
Time. Don't make me remove a meaningless point. Okay. Eric of the Death Twitch, your best retro drinking game movie. I doubt you needed a movie to have a good drinking game, but
Well,
here
that's
we go.
kinda true. No, I really wanted to just focus it around a single actor, but since it has to be a movie, I'm going to go with Night of the Creeps, and every time the Tom Atkins says "thrill me" or he drinks himself, take a shot. Because his whole career, I mean, not like I don't want to like his whole career, but man, a lot of his movies he is just drinking. He's pounding down the shots. The Miller, the guy, like you can make a whole drinking game just watching Tom Atkins. But if they have to be focused on anything, it's gonna be Night of the Creeps.
Fair enough.
All right.
Fred Decker for the win.
Okay, you have 25 seconds to continue talking.
Me? Okay.
No.
Oh.
All right, we will concede that time. All right, 30-second rebuttal, Marcia.
Okay. I haven't watched him or that movie, so I can't rebuttal on that. But I will say I want to explain the double shot, double tap. So every time you have to double tap that killer, you get a double shot. So that is my rebuttal.
By the end, you're
yeah.
fucked up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pants.
I mean, that's the point.
Yep. You still had 9 seconds. Okay, you're good. Okay.
I'm good.
Just because you like it.
Yeah.
Shut up, I like
because
it.
you said so.
Well, no, you got to have rules
That's
to the
my
game.
start.
30 seconds for Eric.
Whenever you're ready, Eric. Go ahead.
You're not going to be drinking alone. It's Tom Atkins, man. He's there for you.
Even if you're alone,
He's
you're not
playing
drinking
the
alone.
game while you're watching the movie and playing the game. Tom Atkins is there for you.
Okay.
I really got to watch this movie now. I really want to know. I want to be friends with
Night
Tom
of the
Atkins.
Yeah.
Oh, no, the creeps. Dude.
So for the horror show, we have Marcia with Scream. She had some great points there. Randy rants. Every time he rants, take a shot. Every time the phone rings. Every time the villains
Fall over shit.
cartoon themselves. Double tap, double shot. And then that was your rebuttal. And then Eric was Night of the Creeps, Thrill Me, and Tom Atkins and You'll Never Drink Alone.
Absolutely.
So this is a drinking game. Which do you guys think won? Marcia and the horror show? The Scream? Or Eric and Night of the Creeps? All right.
Whoa, that was close.
Horror
think-
show
I
pulls
think
ahead
Scream wins that
15
one.
to 2.
15 to what?
I got 15 points for that? Woohoo.
Sure, why
I just
not?
like hearing the point
was it the
values
double
at the end
tap,
of each
double
round.
shot?
This is completely unpredictable.
And they have no meaning. I pressed you. Oh, I did. Okay. Oh,
You choose me?
here we go.
Choo, choo,
Best
choo.
metal or heavy rock-themed horror film?
Yes.
Or movie.
Best metal or rock themed horror movie. There
So-
have been plenty, and Fuego is going to tackle this
And
one.
Eric is going to go first for the Eric. Death
for,
Twitch.
For the
Or
Eric.
the Eric Twitch?
The Eric Twitch.
Mm.
Let me know. I'm not going to take up the whole time.
I
Oh,
won't
you-
even start the timer.
Are you red?
I won't even start the
All right,
time.
ready? Go.
Are you red?
Oh yeah, this is supposed to be a debate. Mine is Deathgasm because the movie celebrates.
That was
It just celebrates horror and heavy metal, two things that I really love, and they do it with practical effects, great music. They've got inside jokes that only other horror, like metal people, are gonna get. Deathgasm is it's just a dream come true for like a metalhead horror guy, and that's it. I told you I wasn't gonna use up the whole time. So.
Okay. And Jaime.
Well, luckily I have backups, but yeah, damn it, I want to.
Oh really? I
Well,
got yours?
here's the thing. You can here. Let me pause.
No,
it.
I have
we-
backups.
we-
I have
you
backups.
wanted
Trust
to
me.
go with that,
Yeah,
but-
I
yeah.
see.
I was
I
vetoed
was
on
gonna say
that
if you could debate Deathgasm, but just got to make the audience win your side.
Okay, well,
Explain it better
no.
than
I have a
No,
film
no,
that
we're
I
not.
feel like celebrated
Okay.
it in a similar fashion. It's not quite as goofy. It's much more on the serious side. We're
Okay.
talking Devil's Candy. Devil's Candy was, I mean, the guy's like breaking a flipping guitar on the cover of the film. Ethan Embry really surprised me, being the dude from Can't Hardly Wait in this particular role. I mean, the killer, for God's sake, is strumming power chords as he's trying to like kill the inner urges to go out and murder and everything. I mean, the soundtrack is phenomenal. You've got Slayer, you've got Machine Head, you've got Sun O, if I'm pronouncing, whatever, the O, all that shit. But yeah, I mean, it just celebrates the metal camaraderie with him and his daughter, especially. Just, I mean, he's indoctrinating her properly and just, passing his sickness of heaviness along. And yeah, I think that movie is scary and metal and awesome. So there you go.
Okay. And Eric, do you have a rebuttal for that? For Devil's Candy?
Sure. Yeah, I think Deathgasm really celebrates both its horror and heavy metal roots. Honestly, just probably an unpopular opinion, I feel like The Devil's Candy was pandering to me as a heavy metal guy. It might have just been the marketing, like, oh, you like metal, so you're going to love this, and I didn't. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like the Deathgasm is all about bringing it all up. It's like just like this is the best, and this is why we love it, and you know, that's it.
Time.
He almost made his whole time.
I wanted to cut you off by saying time so bad. That's all I was doing, standing here. Jaime, you have a rebuttal?
I do. You know,
Deathgasm?
as much as I love Deathgasm, I don't feel like it took the subject as seriously, you know, and I guess that is one thing is that, you know, when it comes to metal, do we take ourselves really that seriously? I play in a metal band, for God's sake. But, you know, I feel like there was a little bit more respect given, and honestly, I feel like they were like mocking black metal and some of that stuff. That those dudes are burning down churches and shit, man. They take it very, very seriously. I love that love letter to New Zealand horror that it is, but yeah.
All right. So we had Deathgasm from Eric, who says it's everything horror and heavy metal should be. It's got great jokes, and it's a dream come true for metalheads. We got Jaime with Devil's Candy. It's got some guitar breaking, Ethan Embry, and music to quell the devil. So who do we think won that debate? We're going to go with Eric of the Death Twitch.
Ooh. Interesting.
And Jaime of the Horror Show.
Oh, all right. Death Twitch wins.
I should have gone
That's
Return
2
of
to
the
2.
Living
Now it's
Dead.
all tied up at
stole
12
it.
to 12.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
2 to 2. All right.
Took it right
Sweet.
All right. Is this the tiebreaker?
This is the tiebreaker.
This is-
Final
yeah.
category.
Final category is Best Horror Movie Score. Now, for those of you who don't know, the score is the actual ambient music, and the soundtrack is the songs from bands and stuff like that. So the score is like the actual music, and then soundtracks are tracks, if that makes any sense.
You got it.
All right, and who's answering for the horror show?
Me.
All right. Eric, you went last time.
No, he went first last time, didn't he?
Or
Did you go first on that one or last?
you
Yeah,
went
he
first
went
last
first
one?
on. That's
Okay.
why I was like
But-
Deathgasm.
Yeah, okay.
Curses.
All right, so
Sorry about
Cecil,
Good minds think alike.
60 seconds, and go.
All right. Now, we had a choice on this one, but ultimately we went with Jaws. You know, some people don't consider it a horror movie. It's absolutely a horror movie. It's about a killer shark taking people out. And yes, there are other themes out there that might be more in line with your spirit store on Halloween, but Jaws did so much more for horror movie scores than I think anyone else has. It was the shark. I mean, they didn't have a working shark, so they had to have a score let you know when the shark was around. And so it was more than just music. It was not only putting you in the mood for avoiding getting killed, but it was also like, oh shit, something is here and I can't see it, but I know it's here just based on the music alone. And the fact that it transcends just mood setting, the fact that it actually, you know, lets you know more than your average horror movie score, I think that makes a huge difference. And who doesn't know? Dun-dun.
Time.
At least you got the deduntin.
I'm going to have to subtract a point from myself for giving you 3 extra seconds.
Fuck you.
Eric, you're going to have 3 extra seconds as well.
Fuck you.
I'm not going to use them.
You can sell them back to me if you want. All right, Eric, best movie horror movie score. Go.
All right, so I love the sound of a horror movie. I will just sit in my house and listen. Like, it's so weird. It's like you feel like you're in a horror movie. Freaking Phantasm theme is playing. Like, it's fine. So many great things. But there is one particular theme that I feel like stands out from the rest, and that would be Nightmare on Elm Street.
Ooh,
The
interesting.
score, because I don't know. A lot of them have piano, and that one has piano, and it's fine, and some of them have synth. But there's something about the atmosphere of a Nightmare on Elm Street that puts me right in the boiler room, and it puts me right in the nightmare, and it stands out from anything else really I've ever heard. I don't know. It really has its own dreamlike quality right to the music that I totally enjoy. So that's it. Cut it off.
I liked how you used the dreamlike quality to the music in a movie called Nightmare. Yeah, I like that. That was
The
good.
nightmare-like quality.
All right, although Jaws, I could probably sing you the Jaws theme over the Nightmare on Elm Street theme. All right,
Rebuttal?
See the rebuttals.
I'm a dolphin man.
Wait.
Oh.
Sorry, my phone closed. Son of a bitch.
Why did you close your
Go.
phone? I actually also like A Nightmare on Elm Street. Do 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 do. Yeah, it's good, but it's not as iconic as Jaws. I mean, and it doesn't represent as much. Yes, it does put you in the mind of the boiler room, but it doesn't make you want to get out of wherever the fuck you are, like the Jaws theme does. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter where you are. If you hear the Jaws theme, you're going to think there's a tremor underneath you. If you're on land, if you're on water, you're going to think there's a shark. Anywhere you are, you're going to get away from wherever you are.
That is true. If I'm in a swimming pool and someone starts going, dun, dun, I'm
going to scoot to the edge.
Rebuttal? Go.
I'm going to break the rules and do what I'm not supposed to do, but he makes a really good point. I mean, truly, I don't even, I'm not going to say anymore because then I'm on your side. So I'll have a rebuttal. Good point.
Okay.
Fair enough.
All right, so...
It's my favorite debate ever.
We're so amicable. We like each other's choices.
Nothing hostile at
You know
all.
what? You've changed my mind. Isn't that how a debate's supposed to go? Okay, so who won that one? Jaws or Nightmare on Elm Street? Jaws?
Jaws.
All right, and the winner is Jaws.
Woo! All right, so
That's
that
everybody
means...
clapping.
I still think
I
it's
think I lost.
Phantasm, but
Yeah,
that's
Fuego
just-
wanted to go with Phantasm.
They
It is a great one.
vetoed me again.
Yeah, well, guess what? We won the debate. So.
It's a democracy, apparently.
Thank you
It
guys
was,
very
it was
much.
3-on-1.
So yeah, 3-2, the horror show wins. We maintain our crown. We will be going up against other channels, but now it's up to you guys.
Yeah, the
so
fun
I would
part.
like to see some hands go up in the air. We need the first 3 people from the audience that would like to debate each other. Don't all raise your hands at once.
We've got prizes.
Who's got, okay, we've got Superman, we've got this one over here, and we've got this one back there. You 3, please come up.
Okay, here we go. So, the best decade of horror. So we're talking 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s. So, Marcia, pick a random person to go first.
You, Superman.
All right. Devin's going to go first, and he's going to tell us the best decade of horror. 1 minute. Ready? Go.
I'm going to have to go with the 80s. First of all, you have The Shining, 1980, that kicked it off. To me, that's the greatest horror film of all time. That's another debate. You have A Nightmare on Elm Street. You know, Freddy Krueger's one of the biggest icons in horror. You have Child's Play, a few Halloween sequels, so that franchise was carrying on. Friday the 13th allowed Jason Voorhees to become, you know, a huge slasher icon. You have The Poltergeist. I believe that was the 80s. A lot of Stephen King adaptations, Cujo, I think Christine, things like that. So there was a lot of diversity in terms of experimentation. They're incorporating the supernatural, but also seeing like slashers develop and reach kind of their peak, essentially. Yeah.
Okay. 55 seconds, basically. Cool. All right. So you kind of lucked out by getting to go first and chose the 80s. We're going to go with Mr. Kirby. You have 60 seconds. Go.
So the 1970s is the foundation of horror, truly, although the 50s and 60s did bring a lot to the table. I'm going to start in 1973 with The Exorcist, arguably the greatest horror film of all time, followed immediately the next year with Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So you have a film, which just happen to be my 2 favorite films of all time. You start with The Exorcist is basically an Academy Award-winning film. It did not actually win the Best Picture, but I mean, one of the first to ever be considered for that honor. Then you have the documentary style of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and then to top it all off for that 3 years, blockbuster of Jaws, which is a horror movie. And then you've got, in the rest of the year, I also want to do give a big ups to Phantasm, Coscarelli's 1979 masterpiece. There's just too many films, King adaptations, the start of it, Carrie. It's just such an essential era. It is when horror truly went out of the 1950s, 40s, you know, very comical into very serious and daring territory. That set the template for all the following decades.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That was cool. And Brian is going to go now.
with the 70s and 80s, those are really good. I'm going to have to go with the 90s, simply because the sequels of Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, they're continuing on. Plus, we have Scream coming in, and Scream was a huge change to the whole horror franchise, because that was the first film to show everyone, they have characters in the movie that are self-aware, that they know Michael Myers, they know Freddy, they know Jason. So having a film come out pretty much out of nowhere and having characters that actually know horror tropes, what's going on, I think that changed horror going on with the rest of it. And I think 90s is the best.
You got 20 seconds if you got anything else. No? Good? All right, Brian, that was succinct and good. All right, so I'm just going to go back over what everybody said. So Devin chose the 80s, which let's just call that the heyday era, which was your argument. We had Nightmare on Elm Street, Jason, Child's Play, Halloween, Poltergeist, Stephen King, Cujo, and Christine. Kirby chose the 70s, which is, he claimed, the foundation of horror, which was a pretty good argument. And we had some of the best horror films that have ever come out: Exorcist, Texas Chainsaw, Jaws, Phantasm, Carrie, and the Essential era, the foundation. And then Brian here chose the 90s, where we got the tail end of all of our great 80s horror, and then we also got the introduction of new self-awareness horror, such as Scream. And I think, in Elm Street there were some sequels, and I think that's it. Okay, so we got the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. Let's go with, let's start on the end with Brian.
All right, who votes for Brian?
Or Devin, I'm sorry, Devin.
Okay. And then we have the 70s. Okay. And then the 90s. 80s wins.
All right.
All right. Thank you guys very much. You guys are all finished. Who's the next three?
All right, so what's that topic going to be?
Melee weapons.
Melee weapons. Okay, that's a good one. Cecil, will you pick a random person to go first? Pick 1 through 3.
Okay, number 1.
Okay, that's Miguel.
Okay.
All right, Miguel, best weapon in a horror film. You have
melee
60
weapon,
seconds.
right?
Melee weapon.
Okay, I'm just making sure we got that right.
Go.
I'm gonna pick the one that actually makes a sound before you actually use it and you enjoy the most. The chainsaw. I mean, Ash from The Evil Dead. Just every single time you hear that thing rev up, you just know there's gore coming. Even in Sharknado, that horrible, horrible movie, when Ian Ziering goes through the shark and just pierces right through it and flies through, you just believe a Beverly Hills 90210 character can now be invincible. What type of person is able to do that? What type of weapon can do that? A chainsaw. It's the only one. And you can even get a laser chainsaw. If you play Lollipop Chainsaw, you'll know this. Who wants to use a laser chainsaw against zombies? I do. I know you do. I know everyone would love to use a laser chainsaw. It's the ultimate attachment, and it can replace your hand. Just not all the time. Just, for weapons. Don't use it for other things. But chainsaw time.
Perfect. All right, Ian. Ready?
Yes.
Go.
I'm going to go with the machete because it's been used by countless killers, including Jason Voorhees. It's still relevant today because it's used in pretty much any zombie movie or TV series that's out there. Someone's using a machete to hack somebody's head off into their brain. So the body count is, the chainsaw's great. It's been used, but the body count for a machete has to be triple, if not quadruple, the amount of kills that a chainsaw has done. And it's also very useful just in your everyday life. So, you can cut some grass, hack down the weeds, or, chop your mother up if, she becomes a zombie. And I'm good.
Okay. Jesse, best horror melee weapon, and go.
I'm going to go a little untraditional here, and I'm going to go back to Dead Alive and say a lawnmower. Because you can hear it before it starts, and it's also useful in your everyday life. Like, you get both there. And there's nothing as awesome as that ballet scene at the end with, blood and guts just flying all over the place, and I'm pretty sure it has a pretty big body count right about now, too, after that scene alone. So I think it was just one of the most, like, amazing things I've ever seen in a horror movie because it created a new fear for me. Knocked that off the chores list because I had a reasonable excuse now. But I just thought with the ballet scene, and it just made it that much more awesome. And it was nice and bloody and violent and not common.
Okay, cool. All right, so we had Miguel with the melee chainsaw, vroom vroom. Ian with the machete, the classic machete, body counts, and it's also a tool. And Jesse chose the lawnmower, which I think was the most unique choice we've ever had. You can hear it. Dead Alive was great. It's a new fear for you. And I'm just going to say all three of these weapons are tools also. So, who do you think won? Miguel with the chainsaw.
All right.
Ian with the machete.
Machete.
Or Jesse with the chainsaw. Or the lawnmower. Sorry. Lawnmower wins. Okay, this will be our last round of 3, and then we will have our playoff round. Have we decided a topic?
Yeah, we're going to do Anthology.
All right, so the best horror anthology, which is a great topic. Eric, pick 1 through 3. 2. JL, you're going first.
Oh, great.
Ladies first.
Super exciting.
You have 60 seconds to tell us what the best horror anthology is. Go.
Okay, so the one that I chose is one that's kind of near and dear to my heart. Not necessarily the scariest, but I really do enjoy Trick or Treat. I think there's a lot of kind of fun campiness to it. I love all the visuals. Sam is definitely one of my favorite, kind of horror monsters. He has that, great big bulbous sack head, and he's just kind of creepy. So I really enjoy that quite a bit, and that's about as far as I went with that. So I'll not use my full time.
Okay. It's a good answer. Trick or Treat. It's a good anthology. All right. Mike 2 is going to go next.
Yes. So for my anthology, I'm going to actually choose a kind of bittersweet anthology. It's going to be VHS, which there's only one good scene you need to see in that whole 90-minute film, but it is absolutely worth it. It's by one of my favorite new directors, David Bruckner, Amateur Night, and it is definitely worth seeing. Price of admission just for that one scene. He's also went on to direct a lot of other cool stuff that kind of put me down the path of really good new upcoming horror. So definitely go see it. VHS. It's found footage. It has a kind of creepy, backdrop to it. It's kind of cool. There's a lot of really shitty, bad directed ones, but like I said, it's worth it just for that one 10, 15-minute scene of Amateur Night.
Okay. Succinct. All right, and Mike 1.
So
Go.
I have a different answer. I think I might have misunderstood the concept of anthologies, so we'll start with that. But I'm going to give my answer anyway. When I was 6 years old, I wanted to go to the movies with my friends, my older friends, and my dad was like, oh yeah, you can go to see some dumb movie about a doll, whatever. I go and see the movie, and my memories cease. And what I've heard about that time was that I had to be carried out of the theater because I had passed out because I was so scared of Chucky. Okay? I'm going with Child's Play. Either way. The movie is incredible, takes itself seriously and then not seriously. And you can put him in any anthology, and I'd still vote for it. So.
All right. Okay, so we have Child's Play.
Yeah, that's right.
From Mike 1. We got Trick or Treat from JL, which was the fun campiness, and Sam. I did Sam exclamation point, yeah, because Sam was great. And then Mike 2 had VHS, which he claims there's only worth watching the one scene, Amateur Night, which I haven't seen, but I want to see it now. It's
really good.
You told me it was good. So, who do we think won that? Mike 1 with Child's Play?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm a big
JL with Trick or Treat? Or Mike 2 with VHS?
Thank you.
I mean, you did say most of it sucked.
But it's worth it. It's worth it.
It's really good. That first scene.
I mean, you got me convinced.
Yeah.
All right, so our final round is going to be JL, Devin, and Jesse. Congratulations to the winners. Well, you're not winners yet. I mean, you're winners in our heart. I mean, we all get a participation trophy, you know. All right, so we chose...
Found footage? Yeah.
Found footage, okay. Give me a number 1 through 3. 2. Devin, you're going first. Found footage. 60 seconds, go.
I'm going to have to go with the Blair Witch Project. To me, that kind of started off the whole genre in 1999. It's such a simple concept, too. You know, a group of college students looking for this witch in the woods, and so it's very motivated by like urban legends. And I think, you know, as horror fans, it's something that's kind of in the root of the genre. Is just being fascinated by scary stories and the kind of campfire stories. So really simple concept, but I felt like the execution was really good. For a bunch of, you know, actors in the indie movie that you kind of never hear from again, I felt like they all did really well in that movie. And it had a compelling ending to me where they kind of find the cabin and they go downstairs to the basement and see the witch, and the camera starts to shake. And looking back, it's kind of cliche maybe, but you know, for that time and for...
Time. Okay. I do love doing that. Just love it. It's my favorite part. All right, so the Blair Witch Project was Devin's choice. That's a good one. Next up is Jesse. Found footage, 60 seconds. Go.
I'm gonna go with Creep. I'm gonna go with Creep because it made me super uncomfortable watching it, and I had high hopes for the guy too in the beginning. They were gonna be friends, and I was just so defeated, guys. And it was so horrible. And I liked the way it just came to a dead end. I love that it just can no explanation. Well, a little bit of an explanation, but they didn't explain much throughout the movie, and I don't know why. I don't feel like every horror movie needs an explanation anymore. I love the way it was just done. There was no questioning it. He was just dead. It was, and just throughout the build-up through it, and you barely find out any piece of information about the guy throughout the entire thing, but he still gives me the creeps thinking about it, and makes me uncomfortable being home alone. So, time.
Okay, I'm going to give you a irrelevant bonus point for using the term dead ending. I like that, because that's fun.
But they're arbitrary. And
all right, JL. Wrap it up with 60 seconds of found footage. Ready? Go.
Okay, well, I was definitely going to go with Creep, so it's a very good choice. So that is a great option for that. So I guess I will go to my second option, which would be bringing it back to VHS. I think there's a lot of creativity with how they kind of explain why there is found footage with that, so I definitely would put it up to that. Especially, you know, going to the first section of VHS, he has like glasses, or he has the camera on his glasses, you know, for kind of sleazy reasons. So it just kind of explain why there is that, you know, horror element to that. And even going, you know, it's kind of cheating going to VHS 2. There's a guy who has a like eye implant basically, which is the reason that he's having the recording. So I think there's a lot of creativity within the VHS series, but especially with the first VHS and why there is a recording in place. So I think that element kind of brings it to be a more interesting found footage than some other ones. So.
Okay. Good. That's a good point. All right, so we have Jesse with Creep, made her uncomfortable, and it has a dead ending, which is great. Devin said Blair Witch Project, which was a simple concept, and it was good execution, which I completely agree with you there. And VHS, JL said it was the creative use of the camera and the placement of the camera in the VHS series that made that the best found footage film. What did you guys think? Who won that one? Did we win Jesse with Creep? Devin with Blair Witch Project? Or JL with VHS? I think Devin won that. We agree on that? Now, all right, but Jesse did get that bonus point, so that doesn't count for anything.
Awesome,
cool.
So thank you guys.
One more hand for Devin and everybody who participated. Thank you guys so much for coming out.